everybody, and welcome to the Bob Stoops app. I'm Brad McMullen, along with Hall of Fame football coach Bob Stoops. Coach, as we head into Week 5, we've got to talk a little bit more about Week 4. The OU defense lived up to the hype. Elite play on Saturday night. Unfortunately, offensively, Oklahoma was not able to get things going in the first half.
Yeah, that's very true. And let's compliment the fans right out of the gate. They were incredible. Everybody was there, loud, ready for the moment. And truth be told, defense gave them a lot of moments. And just when you thought, oh, this is the play, defense, they played great all night. Great against the run. Pass, gave up a couple of big plays, but when you're in that straight man-to-man all day, that's bound to happen. The defense gave us a chance to win, and gave us some big plays that got the crowd into it. But then we turn the ball over immediately after. Not 3 plays later. The first play after the turnovers, we give it right back to them. And to me, that just stifled the crowd, stifled our energy, momentum. You know, the kind of things that were there right for us, and we couldn't take advantage of them. So that was the downside of it.
Now, fans out there, they know the quarterback position. They watch the quarterback position. They know the names of the quarterbacks long before they arrive here on campus. But for coaches, they look at every position. Every single position on the field needs to do well. That's why it's a team. If this person misses a block, things fall apart. If this person doesn't catch a pass, things fall apart. But the spotlight, of course, is on Jackson Arnold. He did not play well, and Coach Venables made a change.
Yeah, and Jackson Arnold's a talented, good player, and I believe in time that's going to come through. Maybe sometimes you just need a little bit of a break, a little bit of a reset, get back in order, and because I believe in the young man. And the quarterback does not do it alone. Let's get that straight. You need a run game. You need receivers to get open. But you also, as a quarterback, can't make big mistakes and turn the football over. And I believe that's the one reason why going with Mike Hawkins at this point is, the right thing to do, and that's what they're doing. And I've got great faith in Mike Hawkins. Geez, watching him spring and through practices, a talented guy. So, but he's going to need supported. And those receivers need to break open and get some separation, get some run game going. And, let's be, a little more creative and innovative in what we're doing, play calling, and hopefully that'll all come together.
And we have a number of starters, again, that are out, again, because of injuries. You went through that in the 2009 season, preseason top 5. When you lose some heavyweight starters, it does impact the game.
There's no way around it. People could say it's an excuse, whatever. Yeah, it's a reason. It's a reason that offenses struggle because most of the injuries are on offense. You got your top 4 receivers out. That makes a difference. Now, all these teams we got to do something about it, but they're going to come up and crowd our receivers, play more man-to-man, more tight coverage. And but we also in the O-line have got to figure something out with, who is playing to be on the same page and to block things the way they need to be blocked.
All right, here's some positive things, right? Want to hear some good news, the glass half full. Oklahoma actually had more first downs than Tennessee. I know with that offensive performance on Saturday night, it's hard to fathom that, but that's actually true. And the other crazy part is if Oklahoma would have made one of the 2-point conversions, they would have been within 1 score and have 3 timeouts and elite defense on the field to potentially shut them down. That's how close the game really was. I know some people watching at home didn't feel like it was, but that's truly how close the football game was.
No, the defense gave us every opportunity to be in the game. You just can't give it right back to them. And, we've got to be able to convert some of those 2-point plays or at least one of them. And we can't give up a safety by miscommunication in our blocking scheme up front. So, that all leads to what happened the other night. But as far as, I thought overall the defense was more than stood up to their offense. But their defense more than stood up and took care of our offense. And there's the difference in the game. I thought special team-wise, we were very good. There was no mismatch there. It was very equal in what we did special team-wise.
Yeah, and again, more positive. Michael Hopkins looked good. In half a game compared to Nico, he almost had as many yards as he did, only within 50 yards total passing. He came up big when he needed to. He had great touch on the ball. And when, unfortunately, things broke down blocking-wise, he was able to get outside the pocket and make things happen.
Yeah, definitely. He's an athlete out on the perimeter, can make off-schedule plays or pull the ball down and scramble and make something happen. And he's going to need to do that, moving forward. I thought, too, Tennessee got very conservative in the second half. I think because two reasons. We weren't doing much offensively, but also we had forced them into some turnovers and gave us the ball at the 4-yard line going in, gave us the ball on our 40 going in, and they didn't want to take a chance whether it be getting him hurt or turning the ball over more and giving us more of an opportunity.
Now, we talked a lot about the 2015 Oklahoma Sooners that went to Tennessee, that won that game famously with Baker and Shep, and what an exciting moment that was. But if you really analyze that year, Oklahoma started out 4-0. They played a underwhelming Texas team, was a monster favorite in that, and Texas beat Oklahoma. And the Oklahoma Sooners had to get in the locker room and make a decision with one loss and said, hey, is this going to define our season, or are we going to define our season? And your team, Coach, ended up going to the college football playoff, and that Texas team didn't even go to a bowl game that year.
No, that's right. You've got to put it behind you and move forward and improve. And during that time that you're talking about, we were at Tennessee. We were down 17-3, much like this game.
Yes.
Our defense kept us in the game, gave us a chance to come back, and we had Baker Mayfield go out and make a bunch of plays and tied the game up, and then we win in overtime. So, and then we lose to Texas later. So we were in a little bit of a jam offensively at that point, but we figured it out. And oddly, Baker Mayfield texted me in the middle of the late third quarter of this Tennessee game and asked me if I thought we had any of the Sooner magic or did he use it all up. So I had said I have my fingers crossed, and hopefully we have some in our pocket. But anyway, it was just a funny moment between Baker and I.
Yeah, and if you go back to that 2015 season, that November, you faced a top 6 team, a top 10 team, and a top 15 team to get into the college football playoff.
And win the Big 12 championship.
That's correct.
And so, we fought through that year. Early on, like I said, we were figuring things out offensively. I think Coach Riley started to realize at the time, he was just his first year here, figuring out the backs we had and the line of scrimmage we had to start trusting the run game more. And as we did, it improved, and some of the play design, run game wise, started to come together, and we really took off. And like you said, won the Big 12 championship and go to the playoffs.
Yeah, share the optimism there. The Sooners are 3-1. They're not 1-3. They do have talent, a lot of unproven talent because they're young because of the injuries. But I think a lot of exciting things to look forward to in the first game at Jordan-Hare, Auburn. This is a powerhouse in the SEC for many, many years. And playing on the road and winning on the road is tough in general, but especially in the SEC.
Yeah, it's a strong fan base, wild atmosphere. But it's what you want. I mean, our players, they've been in big environments, and they'll look forward to that. We always did, and you rise up and you face that crowd, and as much as anything, when you play well, the crowd tends to settle down a little bit.
Yeah, temperature-wise, usually when you're playing in the SEC, especially in September, early October, it's really, really hot. Game time temperature set around 70 degrees because a hurricane is literally coming through the Gulf of Mexico right now. There's going to be a lot of rain that could help the Sooners a little bit on the ground.
Yeah, it'll be interesting how that unfolds, and it's always hard to predict, 2, 3, 4 days out, maybe a storm passes through ahead of it, but hey, you deal with it one way or another.
All right, the Oklahoma Sooners are a road favorite at 2.5 points at Auburn. How do you see this game going?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We say the same things. If defense can keep playing the way they are, coming up with third down stops, turnovers, that's good. That's huge. And then offensively, we've got to get a spark. Hopefully, Mike Hawkins gives us that spark. Find some run game, whether it's tweaking some of the run plays or whatever we're doing. And then we got to come up with a few big plays downfield. We got to be able to, to get some receivers loose downfield and convert, or come up with a tough catch, come up with an interference, against them where they, it's an automatic 15-yard first down. You just got to have some of those plays.
Yeah, and the key here, don't turn over the football.
But number one thing,
Yep.
Turnover margin every week will always be that way. Oddly, we won it the other day, 3-2, but it wasn't enough.
That's exactly right. Again, I think the Sooners are going to win this game. I think they're going to show up, get a lot of people excited because of the young talent, and then the Sooners would be 4-1, get a week off, and then play number 1 Texas in Dallas. And oh yeah, by the way, in case you don't know, the Sooners have actually won 8 out of 10 against the Longhorns.
Yeah, but every year's its own thing, so you've got to, just because we did it a year ago, you got to go do it again this year.
All right, let's talk about some of the other big games out there. Number 2 Georgia at number 4 Alabama. And Alabama is a home underdog in this one by 2 points. How do you think that game's going to pan out?
Really interesting. Just with the turnover and coaching staff and whatnot, you got to go with Georgia and Kirby Smart and what they've been doing. Although Kellen DeBoer's had success everywhere he's been. But just the fact that they haven't been there maybe long enough, I want to give Georgia the edge, but it'll be a heck of a game.
Yeah, it's going to be some must-see TV to watch primetime on Saturday night. All right, Kentucky at number 6 Ole Miss. Kentucky has looked good this year. 3 great solid performances, that one off against South Carolina. But if they play well, right, like they did against Georgia, they can beat anybody.
Well, that's the key. The really poor game they played against South Carolina, they had turnovers. We keep talking about them,
Yep.
pick 6 and whatnot. So it got away from them. So if they can win the turnover margin, they've got a great chance to win.
Yeah, I see Ole Miss winning that game. Ole Miss favored by 18 points. I think Kentucky will beat that spread. All right, Oklahoma State at Kansas State. 2 of these teams expected to win last week, both reeling off of a loss. Kansas State is favored by 6 points in that game.
And it's at Kansas State.
At Kansas State.
But that's a tough place to play, and they'll be fired up for it. Surprised by Oklahoma State last week, but they're still a good football team. But I'm going to go with Kansas State because it's at home,
Yeah.
and they do a good job as well.
And I was surprised, obviously, that Oklahoma State lost to Utah. I was surprised that BYU obliterated Kansas State last week. I did not see that coming.
Yeah, and sometimes, like I said about the Kentucky, South Carolina, all of a sudden you get a few turnovers, big play from a special team, whatever it is, and then all of a sudden it gets away from you.
Yeah, a lot to be decided. If you lose this game, you're probably not going to play in the Big 12 championship game, so it's a must-win for both Kansas State and Oklahoma State. All right, Wisconsin at number 13, USC. Lincoln Riley's team fell as a road favorite at Michigan last week, trying to get things right with Wisconsin.
Yeah, being that it's at USC and Wisconsin really got handled earlier in the year by
Alabama.
So I'm going to go with USC. They've looked good. Even with their loss there at Michigan, they played a heck of a football game. And, Michigan made some plays down the stretch running the football to win it. But that was, USC could have easily won that football game.
I agree. I just think the talent gap is just too seismic in that game. I love USC at home. All right, Louisville, Notre Dame. Look at Notre Dame now soaring back up 3-1 on the season. Louisville 3-0. Notre Dame is actually favored by 7 points in that contest.
That's interesting because Louisville has really been playing well. I wonder though the competition, how strong really is the competition that Louisville has played. So I'm going to go with Notre Dame, being that it's at Notre Dame.
Yeah, I think if it was at Louisville, I would go with them. But being at home, Notre Dame, and again, I think they're just getting things going. I think Notre Dame can make their way to the college football playoff. All right, Arkansas at number 24, Texas A&M. Texas A&M favored by 3.5. Arkansas left for dead at the beginning of this season, now 3-1 on the year.
Yeah, I'm gonna take an odd shot and go with Arkansas.
There you go.
Just because of the last game I watched, I got to see a little bit of it, and they did a nice job. It looked strong, winning last week. So I may be crazy there, but I'm gonna go with Arkansas.
Yeah, I mean, look, Arkansas won on the road at Oklahoma State. Or they didn't win on the road at Oklahoma State. They lost at Oklahoma State, but they were winning for 3 quarters, and then they went on the road and won at Auburn. This team's playing much better on the line of scrimmage. You may be right on that one. I just think the crowd at A&M is going to give A&M the win that time.
Yeah, that's fair to say. I mean, the crowd there is, always fun to participate in and to play in front of because it's loud. But I just thought the way Arkansas played even against Oklahoma State, that they could have easily won that football game. And they had a lot of self-inflicted wounds that hurt them. But you give Oklahoma State credit. I'm not taking that away from them. But the way Arkansas played in that game at Oklahoma State, they played in a lot of phases other than turnovers, they played well.
Yeah, Sam Pittman has been on the hot seat. He will be definitely off the hot seat if he goes and wins at Texas A&M. All right, Illinois at Penn State. Illinois undefeated, a big win at Nebraska last week. Penn State, though, favored by 17.5 points, a battle between the undefeated.
Yeah, I don't see them winning by that margin, in my opinion. Illinois played too well, too strong for that, and Penn State will win, being that it's at Penn State, but I believe it'll be a lot tighter than that.
I do too. And Luke Altmaier, the former Ole Miss quarterback, he had 4 touchdown passes at Nebraska, and they played well physically up on the line of scrimmage. Again, I think Penn State's going to win, but by 18 points, I don't see that.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, Washington State, a surprise 4-0 on this season, traveling to Boise State, who is 2-1. Boise State is favored by 7.5.
Now, I'm going to go with Washington State. They got an attitude about them. You could tell. You know, they've got something to prove, and they're doing it. You know, they're playing really well, and so I think that chip on their shoulder is going to matter.
And they beat Washington, their arch rival, the Apple Cup. They've already won it. Lots of excitement going around town there and pulling. I love Washington State, especially with the 7.5 point spread. All right, Stanford at Clemson. Stanford 2-1. Stanford looked good last week. Clemson favored by 21.5 points.
Yeah, I like Clemson. I think is getting it figured out. The last couple of games, they've looked really strong, really good. You know, Dabo Swinney's a great coach, and you know they had their struggles a year ago here and there, but overall, I think they're starting to get their rhythm.
Yeah, I think Clemson is the cream of the crop in the ACC. I think they're going to be in the college football playoff, and I like your pick there. All right, Ohio State at surprise Michigan State. Michigan State 3-1 on the year. Ohio State favored by 25 points.
Yeah, Ohio State's. I just got to go with them. You know, maybe not by maybe tighter than that. I guess. Of course, I believe Ohio State will win, but I think it'll be a tighter game than that.
I do too, and hats off to Michigan State.
Right.
I mean, I'm very surprised they're 3-1. And Ohio State has started slow in almost every game this year. They've turned it on in the third and fourth quarter. I like your pick on that, staying under the 24 points.
Right.
All right, next game to pick, Mississippi State. Sorry, Heather Sophia, at Texas. Not going to be a good day, I don't feel, for Mississippi State.
No, unfortunately, you know, Texas has got it rolling, and Mississippi State, you know, it's only Coach Levy's first year there, so give him time. You know, he got to build it, but I think that'll be tough playing at Texas.
Yeah, it's going to be a great challenge. And again, when you talk about the talent gap, there's a big one. Levy will recruit and recruit well and turn that program around. All right, BYU undefeated at Baylor, who's 2-2. Baylor, a surprising 3.5 point favorite against BYU.
That surprises me. I'd go with BYU. Just they seem to have it rolling. I haven't seen a lot of them, but I think I'd go with BYU.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a close game, but I like the road team in that one, BYU. All right, for Coach Stoops, I'm Brad McMullen saying thanks for watching. Remember, for videos anytime, just tap on our video link, and let's go Sooners at Auburn.